Real quick, before we start this podcast episode, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Marc Colcer podcast. I know you've got a million things that you could be doing right now, and the fact that you're taking time out of your day to watch this podcast episode truly means the world to me, and I just want to say thank you for that. If you'd like to continue to support the podcast, right below this video, if you could hit the subscribe button, and then, hey, if you got some more time and you want to hit the download button, the comment button, the like button, the share button, any of those buttons, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. It helps for other people to find out about the podcast, and it helps for you to be notified about future episodes. So if you guys could take a quick second, hit the subscribe button, I would really appreciate that. Outside of that, this episode and every other episode is brought to you guys by Roast Umber Coffee. As some of you guys know, I co-founded Roast Umber Coffee, and we have the greatest farmers in Guatemala and Honduras and the greatest roaster in Grand Rapids, Michigan, all to bring you guys the greatest cup of coffee possible. So if you'd like to try it out, go to our website, use the coupon code MARC30, and you're going to get 30% off your coffee. Now on to the episode. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Welcome to the Marc Colcer podcast. Let's talk about what has happened since you and I tried recording for the first time. So the first day we recorded, we were like, you know what? We should actually just chat for a bit. You're in town for a few days. Let's just chat for a bit, and then we'll record one of the other days that you're here. So then we set up Sunday. We were going to record, and Sunday I call you, and I'm like, you'll never believe this. It sounds like I'm making this up, but last night I bumped into my stove. I turned on the gas. I come downstairs in the morning, my entire apartment smells like gas. Next thing you know, fire department has to come out here and make sure I don't blow up this apartment. So I said to you, hey, man, we're going to have to delay on when we record this podcast. And then yesterday we said, okay, hey, we're going to record at 1 p.m. today. And last night this morning I messaged you and said, dude, we got to push it back a few hours. I recorded this podcast with Frank. I have to edit it and get it all ready to go, and I also need a little moment to rest so that I can be ready to rock this podcast. So, dude, first off, I gotta say thank you for being so patient because you've been so easy to work with on all of this.
Hey, I understand everything. Like as a one man person to run the whole project by yourself, like project as a running the podcast. It must be a lot of work, and also you had a big moment with like a DGOT season 3 and Frank and everything. I would do the same thing. I would do ask some favors for the people who's lining up for the next. Like I have 0% problem with it. So.
Well, hey, man, I appreciate that. So, for people who don't know who you are, can you give a brief 30-second intro to yourself?
Right. So my name is Ryot. I'm the founder of Fidelion. Fidelion is the Solana project that is trying to become the next big IP brand of the Dark Fantasy saga, living in the Web 2 and Web 3 in general. So yeah, I'm the founder of that. And also I'm a Korean, if you're curious about that. I do speak Korean, Japanese, Chinese, whatever thing that you imagine that East Asian people would say. But yeah, that's pretty much about me.
There we go. So, all right, man. Well, hey, let's jump into your background. So what were you doing? Give me like what were you doing before NFTs and crypto and everything like that? Tell me more about all that.
Yeah. So, it might sound weird, but I was working in the renewable energy sector. So the energy was my criteria for past 7 to 10 years, I would say. So I was traveling back and forth from to United States and Korea. I ended up getting involved with this IT startup tech company based in South Korea as well. And then I've been working for them for 7 years in the past, talking about like distributed generation, electric vehicles, the virtual power plant type of things. I won't bore you guys too much by explaining a whole lot of things, but basically it's the IT and the energy combined together and try to become more efficient running the energy. So.
That's very cool. So then how did you end up getting into crypto and NFTs and everything like that from there?
Right. It's a long story, but the energy sector in general is very boring. So it's one of those sectors that doesn't change that fast. Even though the technology itself catch up to revolutionize the sector, it doesn't. The change doesn't pop up that quickly in this sector. So pretty much what you do is you bring up the idea and then you wait for fuck ton of time until the government recognizes it's like, okay, maybe it might work, it might not. And then there you start to have a change. So I was taking charge of the department of the new business development. and then I was ahead of that. And then while I was running that, I felt like even if you have so much innovations and so much creativity inside of you, it doesn't. The industry itself is kind of blocking the way. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because it's being conservative is the whole, concept of the energy. So like you don't want to be too creative about it, but I was always stressed about it, And then I met blockchain at some point, and then start to feel like there must be some sort of gaps that I can feel with between this blockchain and then renewable energy sector itself. So was trying to be innovative a little bit over there, and then ended up getting nowhere again because of the similar reasons. So from that point, I started to feel more like into like blockchain in general. Like, can I actually do something here beside of the renewable energy in general? And then that's how I got in, got inside of the blockchain technology in general, like industry in general.
That's very cool. And so, how did you end up getting into NFTs?
Yeah. So the crypto was fun, but it was not as much fun because I'm more of like a content centric kind of guy. I enjoy a lot of games and animes and the movies and etc. I like the stories. Even when I'm playing the game, I don't like the online games. I like the game that is offline, and then focus on the storylines and etc. So that is just my nature. And NFTs, I don't know how many people would agree on this, but it gives me a feeling that this is the like far better version of the meme coin. It's like when we see the meme coin and we see the Dogecoin or something like Shiba Inu or something like that, and then you see just one small image out of it, and that is the brand and that is the design of the whole thing, because there's nothing else that they are offering. NFT, no matter what kind of side stuff that they are offering, I feel like this is the brand and IP and identity in general that you're creating from the JPEG attached on token. So that's why I start to fell in love with the NFT industry so fast and so quickly. And then I started, writing some stupid Twitter threads about the NFTs and like the beginning early stage of the NFTs. So when the Bored Ape Yacht Club is like hovering around like 10 ETH or something. So yeah, that's where I started the whole thing. I was one of the guy who was writing like a long ass thread in Korean language, and there were only like very handful amount of people doing that. So I became pretty famous at the very beginning time of the NFTs. So
that's very cool. So you were translating run me through that one more time. So these threads, you were writing these threads in Korean about like basically what was going on in the NFT space?
Yes. So I was like summarizing the whole thing sometimes, and I was bringing my own idea about it sometimes. But basically, most of the things that I've been doing is translating some famous individuals Twitter thread into Korean, and then adding on my opinions and then recommend people what to do with it, and then etc. So I was like I would not say important part. But at least I was part of the moving part of the whole Korean NFT movement at the moment.
That's very cool. What do most people in Korea think about blockchain and NFTs and all of that? Is there like a popular sentiment that people have, or what do people think about it over there?
Right. So unfortunately, Korean industry in general in blockchain has gone through so many dipshits. So we all know what happened to Luna, and we all know what happened. Well, you might don't know, but there's something called Clayton, and then Clayton also dropped their values around like 97% or something for the in the bear market. I'm talking about the layer 1 chain. So so after going through that much of the event, like unfortunate event, and also there were so many NFT projects on that layer 1 chain, which also dropped the whole fucking value into the bottom. So yeah, NFT in general was not giving like very much positive feelings back then, even now. So I think, but there are like decent amount of people still believing in the technology, still believing in the NFTs innovation, like revolutionary utilities in general. So there are still hopes, there are still people believing in it, but Man, we gone through too many things.
It's we're going through growing pains. That's what it always is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like anytime you're in the early stages of any business, right? Like, I mean, you talked about you worked in renewable energy, right? And it's like renewable energy has gone through so many different waves over the years, right? Like, I don't know where the like first renewable energy source was. I would assume probably like hydropower. I would, or something along those lines. But like where like solar has gone and wind energy and hydro and everything like that over the years, like it's grown exponentially in the ways that they have used it and everything like that. And so I think it's probably the same with crypto and NFTs and everything, is that we're going through those growing pains. And then, probably few years down the road, as we keep kind of ironing out what we need to do, like we're going to figure out how to do this and do it in the right way. But with that said, you're always going to have some bad actors from time to time, and we're going to have some things that go to zero, and that's always kind of part of it. But it's, as long as we're growing and learning from everything, we're always going to end up good.
Right. When I'm looking at the blockchain technology, the blockchain industry in general, I have this feelings that this is the exact same time where the Wolf of the Wall Street was happening, like the very beginning time of the stock market and stock options in general. Like the main character of the Wolf of Wall Street was trying to pretty much scam everyone, right? So I'm guessing that this is the one of those time that everything is like getting mature. I know there are some people who don't like this or wordings, but like, yeah, the industry is getting mature. That's what I hope so. But
Yeah. Same here, man. Same here. It is, it is shocking sometimes what I think about in terms of like, I was talking to somebody the other day about like the first NFT project I ever bought into, and like now when I think back, I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I put money into this project that was almost always going to go to zero. Like, there was almost no way this thing wasn't going to go to zero. But I'm like, I just went in with no knowledge and no background and everything like that. And I just said to myself, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try this out. And I've grown and I've learned and I've matured. So hopefully the whole NFT space is doing that. So.
Yeah, I still remember the time that I was putting $100 on DeFi 2.0 project on the AVAX, and then that stupid Avalanche project was guaranteeing me to get like 1 trillion APY percentage of the return. It's like matter of when I'm trying to get my money out. Like, it's literally just like gambling machine. But yeah, like now I experienced that. So, and I can proudly tell my kids, and it's like saying, hey, when your grandpa is like, this amount of age, I was putting some decent amount of money on this stupid project called Sledgedog, whatever things on the AVAX, and then was trying to get out of the $1 trillion percent of the APY. So good experience.
Yeah. No, I remember the first like DeFi project that one of my buddies sent me, and it's like, dude, it's like, 164,000 APY. And I was like, that makes no sense. I was like, really, how would that make any sense? And he was like, dude, you got to do more research. It'll make sense if you do more research. And I was like, okay, so explain it to me then, because you've done the research, so explain it to me. And he's like, nah. You got to do the research. And I was like, so you don't understand it now, do you?
Like, no, I don't.
Yeah, that thing definitely died, went to zero. But okay, so what was your first, kind of step into the NFT space? Did you start off as a trader? Did you start off as somebody who started working for an NFT project? Or like, what was your first experience like?
Yeah, like just like everyone else, I was the trader as well. And then the first project that I was jumping in was also Ethereum project, obviously. And then I jumped into the Solana project called Solpunk at the very first beginning project of the Solana, I think. Yeah, it was fun. I didn't even know what Solpunk would like literally means. Like, it's a knockoff image. Knockoff image of the punk and crypto punk in general. I kind of knew it. I didn't know why they were copying it, but like even if I was not fully understanding what the fuck was going on, but I still was aping it because it looks cute and it looked decent to me. Yeah, so began as a trader, and also, as I said, I was writing fuck ton of the Twitter thread as well. Like almost like a few thousand people liked the comments, and then I liked the postings, and a lot of people retweeted it. And I started getting offer from here and there from the crypto blockchain related companies, and that's where I start to think maybe this is time that I finally move on from energy sector and then jump into the next one.
There we go. There we go. So where did you start off at?
Yeah. So there were thankfully, there were many different companies approached to me in Korea, and then I finally chose my spot for the company called Tidal Flats Studio, which was a different name back then. But Tidal Flats Studio was trying to become the Web3 content creators that values the creativeness and then also values the content quality in general, etc. And then they were working on this project called Cyberwave. And then, well, there were only like 4 or 5 people back then. So I joined there and then start to, brainstorm what we can do with the Cyberwave and etc. So Cyberwave was a gaming project, but later on we became more leaning towards on the side of the content creation. So
that's very cool. So how did everything go?
Yeah, the Cyberwave. In terms of Cyberwave, we sold it out, and then we promised to deliver the Web3 gaming web game with a token on. So we delivered the web game, but the point that we tried to launch the token, we realized that the timing was just simply not right because it was the middle of the lunar shit show. So we decided to delay a little bit, and then later on we also figured out that this whole Ponzinomics that our fundamental ecosystem would have if we launch it had a serious problem. So back then, those times that Axie Infinity was literally the textbook, and then everybody was copy paste of the Axie Infinity's the tokenomics in general. So we thought that was just alpha and omega pretty much. We thought that was the only way. It turned out it was not. So we wanted to create something more sustainable ecosystem than just a pump and dump type of the gaming token. So we decided to pivot the whole thing into the next projects that we are talking about right now. It's a Fidelion. So like Cyberwave is pretty much the prior version of the Fidelion. Fidelion is just next project that we developed right after the Cyberwave.
Why do you think that is, that like some of these play to earn games haven't really worked out? Do you think it's because of the fact that do you feel like the incentive structure is wrong? And what I mean by that is to me, I look at Web3 games and I'm like, technically all of them should be considered play to earn. And the reason why I say that is because if you play any video game and you're really good at it, you have the opportunity to make money, right? Whether it's from streaming, whether it's from tournaments, whether it's from sponsorship, there's so many different things. But the games where it's like, hey, if you play this and you're just really good at it, we're gonna pay you money, right? The downside of that is you're gonna have a bunch of people who try to either cheat the game or or bot it or something along those lines. And then two, the people who aren't as good, what's their incentive to keep playing, right? And so I almost feel like a lot of times those games focus more on the money and less on the actual gameplay. And it's at the end of the day, if you create a fun game, aren't people just going to want to play it? And then as a result of that, the ability to earn money comes from being really good at it. And if other people want to watch you, for example, Fortnite, right? Fortnite doesn't actively pay people to play outside of the tournaments and things like that, right? I could be wrong, but I believe that's the structure, right? But yet, if you're really good at Fortnite, you can stream it, and a lot of those streamers make a ton of money, right? Now, you do have to be very good. You also have to have a personality and everything like that. But so talk to me about the whole play to earn meta. Is that just a broken system in itself?
It's hard to say that it's broken system, but because we haven't seen so far. We haven't seen the end game of the blockchain yet. So the P2E meta, play to earn meta, might have some other opportunities in the future. But at the moment, this is simply my thought. But there are several structures that is just wrong in this sector. First of all, people think that the people who are in the blockchain would play the game based on the blockchain to earn the tokens, pretty much. So it brings up the issues that you just mentioned. Like people will just play to literally just win, and then they are gonna do whatever things that they can have. Like they're gonna cheat everything. They're gonna cheat the system. They're gonna ignore the play hours. They're ignore the play the enjoyable moments. They're gonna ignore. Of course, they're gonna ignore the whole storylines and everything. They don't fucking care. They only care about their money. So and then also second thing is like even if you bring up like really good gameplay and really good game contents or whatsoever, just as like the Web2 game that exists in these days as a AAA type of the games, that wouldn't work either, because there are like literally tiny fraction amount of the players that exist in the blockchain technology, big blockchain industry in general. There is no player. There's only people who wants to jump into the casino and then earn some money out of it. So like I see sometimes on the Twitters that people say is like, why is there no legitimately good blockchain game that exists in this scene? Like why wouldn't they just focus on the play? Well, because if they focus on the play, nobody's gonna play it. Unfortunately, that is just brutal truth. So either you want to just focus on Web2 audiences that don't care about the money, and then just provide the good game values, and then maybe have some backup systems, maybe some systems that is running in the blockchain from the back of the game. Then maybe that's a good future of the blockchain game. But in general, the normal good Web2 game wouldn't have a shot in the Web3 world, because like you're dealing with a completely different audience. So yeah, like I would say we would need some new structure that is around the blockchain game in general, because like I've seen good games. I've seen some like pure gambling games, and they both have some difficulties to make a success. So
yeah, no, I mean that makes total sense. I mean, I think anytime you're advertising towards like a certain niche of the NFT space, it's like you're taking a market that's already very tiny and saying, hey, and of this tiny market, we only want this, like we want this tiny market of that tiny market, and it's like that's really hard to grow and sustain when you're focused on that, right? And so if you're advertising towards people who are in Web 2 games and things like that, and then maybe you slowly kind of drip the Web 3 aspects of it into them, and they learn more that way, well, then that might be the way to get the large audience to come in. But otherwise you're marketing towards a very, very small group of people.
And also even in the Web3 world, there's like a split, like a clear split between the blockchain gamers and the NFT PFP investors. Like overlapping amount of the population that in those two small little sector is like inimaginably small. It's like, so when you're trying to grab the audiences that is collapsing those two sectors, like people who would enjoy PFP but also enjoy the blockchain game in general, you're literally looking at like few hundreds for Ethereum and Solana in general, I think. So the analytics that we made so far before we release anything about the Fidelion was the fact that we need to grab both sides of the attention, not just like one small little sectors that are collapsing together. It's like, or just a one single sector like that. Either way, that wouldn't make sense. So
yeah. So okay. So talk to me more about Fidelions. So how did Cyberwave did Cyberwave end up becoming Fidelions, or walk me through that whole kind of timeline of Cyberwave into Fidelions?
The Cyberwave project was minted around like 2 years ago, and then it all minted out in Solana. And then we developed our game, and then we released the game after 6 months. And then we ended up not releasing the tokens. It was working fine. We made some reward pool, and everybody enjoyed it. But pretty much we were like, we ceased developing further from there, because we thought there was a fundamental problem of this whole structure. So instead of starting the whole new project with a whole new different names, etc., we decided to have the Cyberwave holders, like the community that is believing in the Cyberwave, jump into the next project called Fidelion. Fidelion has a completely different focuses, but it is also the gaming Solana PFP blockchain type of the project. So it wasn't making sense for Cyberwave people to jump into the next project with us all together, because those are the people who are trusting on our decisions, executions in the long way. So yeah, we made some difficult calls here and there, but essentially we brought like every single one of the people who were holding the Cyberwave into this Fidelion project. And then, yeah, we minted around like 3-4 months ago in this year. We minted out, fortunately. And then, yeah, we are now having a community that is combined with Cyberwave and the new, Fidelion believers, etc. So
that's very cool. So what was the original goal behind Fidelions? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish with it in a perfect world?
Right. So as I said, it's our goal is to become the next biggest dark fantasy saga that exists in the Web 2 and Web 3 in general. We don't want to stop in the being relevant in the being presence, having a presence in the Web 3 world only. We want to become something that you can recognize in the Web 2 world as well. So our tactics in general is about bringing this IP and brand value as much as we can. So it was designed to become the IP project from the very beginning. We do have games along the line, and we do have some other NFT related utilities as well. But at the end of the day, our biggest value is gonna be IP and IP only. So.
How do you get that to come to fruition? Because I think when people talk about IP is always something that takes a long time for it to matter, right? So how do you get people to care about Fidelions, especially people who are outside of the Web3 world?
Right. So it is really difficult challenges to bring the IP that is born in Web3 to the Web2 people. And I think the strategy have to be like completely separation between the Web2 audiences strategy versus Web3 audience strategies in general. So we have the two different pillars that is focusing on Web3 side and Web2 side. So basically what we are trying to do is to bake the fundamental structure of the Fidelion IP and community from Web3. And then we get some support from the community like for everything that we're going to do in the future related with the launching the new services, launching the new products and everything else. And we're expecting Web2 people to just simply consume it without acknowledging the whole IP structures that we have behind of the Web2 that is structured in Web3. So we are gonna release the game that Web2 people will just receive it as a Web2 game. We are gonna release some cool let's say Webtoon type of thing in the Web2 world, but we're never gonna say anything about the Web3. So basically, the revenue structure and also the community structure in general is gonna have a complete separation until we see some crazy mass adoption in the future. But until then, I think this is just the best strategy that you can do.
So just to make sure I understand that completely. So basically what you're saying is like you're going to focus on like the Web3 people can obviously play the game, but they're also going to enjoy the kind of the world building and the IP that comes along with that, the NFTs and everything, rocking the NFTs. And then for the Web2 people who don't really know as much about NFTs and everything like that, your main push to them is just the game and like getting them to love the game and play the game. And then hopefully over time, as NFTs become more and more adopted, then those people will go, oh, wait, this Fidelions game that I've been playing, that I've been enjoying is actually also a Web3 NFT project.
Yeah, exactly. So what I think the main point of building the Web3 IP from the Web3 is to have a very stable and strong community that is, make your whole projects to go long run together. So because the reason why I believe in this way is because Web3 NFT sector is the only sector that has happened in the world entire history of the human that has the capacity of build a strong community as quick as possible. So like Bored Ape Yacht Club, Azuki, and Doodles, and etc. All those successful IP brands that started from the Web3 is built in that way to have a full amount of the support from the Twitter, Discord, and everywhere, is because the people who are supporting those IPs and brand are also the people who are investing their money into it. So no matter you like it or not, you're on the same boat anyways, and then you're trying to see some good things about the project. And also, you tend to believe a little more, believe a little further about the project because your investments is also in, and you also feel like your dedication is also into the project. So it's like literally one of those things that you grow together with the project. So that's why I think Web3 IP brand is just making sense because it takes less time and it takes more dedication for the supporters to believe in the project compared to the Web 2.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think about like games that I've played before, and I don't really like, for the most part, I'm like, I don't really give a shit about this game, right? But then when like Claynosaurus put out, they had a game that they came out with, right? And when they put that out, I was like, dude, first off, I'm a Claynos holder, so of course I'm gonna try it out, right? And then 10 minutes into it, I was like, this is fun. Like, I legitimately enjoy playing this, so I'm going to keep playing this. But it's like, if it wasn't for me being a Clayno holder to begin with, I probably wouldn't have played the game, right? But then once I did, I was like, hey, this is fun, and I want to talk about it because it, pumps my bags when I see people playing it and posting about it and everything like that. So that's always a good thing. And so, yeah, you just get people to genuinely care more. So,
yeah.
So I want to talk next about, you're working with the League of Legends art director, right? I'll butcher his name. So can you say his name and kind of what it's been like working with him, and then walk me through that whole experience?
Right. So his name is Hogyo. Hogyo is literally the father of the League of Legends. He is the guy who did every design, every artwork of the League of Legends from the very beginning time of the Riot games. So he joined the Riot games when there were only like 3 people in the office, like with the small IKEA desk and chair. So yeah, he loved to, well, in some senses, he loved to being involved in those kind of startup venture type of the atmosphere. So he liked it. And then, after that, everything became a history. League of Legends is like one of the most played game in South Korea as well, and as well as just the other side of the world, I guess. The experience with him is actually a lot of things to learn. Like he's the kind of person that normal people wouldn't easily understand. Everything that happens inside of his mind is like, in some senses, it is full of romance. It's like his hopeless romance towards to the IP building and art and the game in general is just something that people would have a hard time to just look at and absorb. It's like, why would he take so much time to draw a very simple single line of the characters? How is that happening? And then, when you're working with that kind of legend for 24/7, he is our C-level, by the way. He's not like advisor and like one of those like people who just say some stupid words from the behind. He's the actual person who's drawing the things. And then when you're working with those kind of legendary characters, it feels like you are growing up again inside of you, like once more, because you are looking at some entirely different sector from what you have known so far about the whole career path. So
how did you guys start working with him to begin with?
Man, it is also a very weird thing to say, but he literally applied to our company. I know it doesn't make sense because he was like right before he applied for a job to us just for fun. He was working as a board of director in Smilegate Studio, which is like one of the biggest gaming studio that exists in South Korea and in the world in general. It's like stupidly big project. And then before that, he was like Decentraland advisor, and he was like also like Fox Media's like he have gone through so many AAA game studios, and there was no single reason for him to apply a job from the LinkedIn to our company. That time we didn't even have our like complete vision. We built vision together with Hogyo. But he apparently he was just like searching some wordings like metaverse and blockchain in Korean language, and then he found out a few of those results popping in the LinkedIn, and he felt like he wants to talk with the people, so he applied for the job. I can't make this shit up. It's like it's literally something that when I got his resume in our hand, I was looking at it. It's like, okay, this is a scammer. Just let's make sure to call him, and then let's make sure that he is actually human. But yeah, that's how we got involved, and then lucky for us, he liked our energy, he liked our vision, he liked everything. So he also made a shot to work with the like young entrepreneurs in the very new sector. So
what has been the biggest like learning lesson from working with somebody like that you've either learned about yourself or learned about the project and the way that you have to think about building it out? What are some of the biggest things that you learned from him?
right. So what I learned, the biggest thing that I learned is that for the legendary for the big gamings or for the big content projects in general, there are so many works that is being done behind the scene. That's the first thing that I learned, and probably the biggest lesson that I learned from him, because like we are most of the time we are the consumer, right? Like we play the game, we watch the movie, we watch the anime, and then we don't really think through the whole processes how that is actually being built. He taught us many different things that you need to do before you create something great. So when I'm looking at Ghibli or like looking at the Disney type of the things, I always think about the stuff that is happening behind the scene, and then what kind of dedication they have been putting to make this contents more famous and more valuable, and then more like perceived well by the web2 audiences. So it is incredible journey that you get to know somebody who is so good at developing the IP in gaming and in anime, in a game, in the dramas and media in general, and learn how to make that happen. So
That's very cool. That's very cool. So, okay, so you were just at a gaming conference in California, right?
oh yes.
So what was that like, and what was that like compared to, I guess, previous gaming conferences that you've gone to? And in the sense of like, do you feel like the space is maturing, that people kind of have new approaches that they're taking with Web3 games, or are you seeing people kind of with the same business models and like business pitches that they had 2 years ago?
Right. I think it matured a lot. There is no one that is truly believing the fact that if you make some Ponzinomics type of structure with the shitcoins and the NFTs, and then like in X Infinity, like you earn the tokens and you mint new NFT with that token, and then you sell those NFTs to latecomers. So like as long as the people jump into the project, then you're gonna earn indefinite amount of money until the cycle ends. So there's nobody that was truly believing in that structure to last longer than, I don't know, a couple of years anymore. So like all those people that I met in the Play GG event was the genuine developers who are trying to make good games, and then make people play the game because the game is just fun enough. But there were still the missing link that I feel like that not even a single person. I won't say not even a single. There were like couple, but most of the projects were just focusing on the game. And we are living in the Web3 world that is like majority of the people are interested in PFP. So like I think this missing link is the final key to make the blockchain game to be successful, and then having the same success in Web 2 as well, because the amount of support that you can get from the PFP community, I think the level is different from the support that you can get from the gaming community. It's like literally the PFP is your identity. It's like something that you put instead of your face on Twitter. The emotional attachment with those the structure in general is like 100% different from the blockchain gaming in general. So there were less attempt to try to connect those two dots, and that's where we are pretty different from other projects, I guess. But in general, it was a good experience. Like there were literally like AAA type of the games that already have almost done with their game development already. There was a Star Atlas too, and there was a Aurora too. So like there were some good faces to see every now and then as well.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, what has been the biggest challenge for you in terms of building out Fidelions?
Right. So essentially, you're dealing with three different sectors. So like you're looking at number one, PFP sector, and number two, blockchain gaming sector, and number three, the Web2 gaming sector. So even just one company to focus on the Web2 gaming sector, it is already a fuck ton of burden. And we are trying to tackle three of them. Like not simultaneously necessarily, but we are not trying to like lose our focus on like multiple amount of the community that we are dealing with. This is only possible because we have people that has like a Web2 gaming background before they jump into our company. So we have a talented teams who's dealing with like, developing, marketing and stuff for the Web2 gaming. But in the same time, it is possible because we have the Web3 people, Web3 native people who understands the differences between PFP and blockchain gaming. I think that is playing the important role, but in the same time, at the end of the day, it is really hard to make everything perfectly orchestrated in a way that we want to make it happen. So
what are you hoping to in terms of like so you're releasing your game at what point?
In around like month or two ish, but we're gonna release the beta game and alpha game type of the thing first. In the Play GG, we released our demo, so that's going to be live as well for few selected community members first. But at the end of the day, it's going to take like a month or two, I think.
Okay, and then in a perfect world, like what would you say if you and I are having a conversation in October? What would you say would be a success for the game so far?
In October. So like it's right after the game release, I guess.
Yeah. What would you like to see as like hey, in a perfect world, this has happened since people started playing the game.
Right. I'm hoping to at least like 100,000 people playing the game in the Web2 world, not in Web3 world. Like in Web3 world, like 50,000 is like crazy amount of numbers. So I would hope that's gonna happen. But at the end of the day, I want like a lot of the Web2 people are gonna jump into jump into the game that we develop. Like they download the game from iOS and Android, just like other games. And then if we can see our game in the top chart, then I will be happy about it at the moment. And then our vision is always to align those success of our Web2 products back to the Web3. So hopefully our structure would work well, and then the people that we have in the Web3 community would be happy with us and enjoying the success of the game as well together. So
there we go, dude. I'm excited. I want to play the game. So it's gonna be. You said it's gonna be on Android. It's gonna be on iPhone. It's gonna be on everything.
It's gonna be on everything, and then also while the Web2 people are enjoying those games, and while we are structuring the revenue streams from the Web2 world, we are gonna also release some staking 2.0 type of the utilities for Web3 people as well. As I said, we will never do anything less than Web3 product would do in NFT scenes. Like there is gonna be merch, there is gonna be NFT staking website that is gamified a little bit. So there's gonna be a little fun different type of the algorithm that you can enjoy from our game. And then there's going to be like so many different things going to happen in the future with the Web3 sector only. So I would say, obviously you would expect big expectation from the game, but I would say even without a game, this Fidelion project is still a banger. It's still something that you can bring so many different things in your hand. Like I'm not talking about just simple T-shirt that has a small little white logo on and then say, yeah, this is the greatest March ever. Like I'm not saying that. I'm talking about I'm also not talking about just like small little NFT gamified staking website types of things. Like you click few things and then you wait for like another month or so, and then they're not that kind of the stupid simple things. I'm talking about something that you probably haven't seen yet in the NFT sector in general. So in Web3 world, even we are preparing so many different things. So
that's cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah.
What other projects, and it can be PFP projects, it can be Web3 games. What other projects are you most like inspired and motivated by right now?
So there are a couple different projects that I got inspired by, but mainly not about game. I get inspired by the Fallout, by the League of Legends, by the like AAA type of the games out there that has like a decent amount of story, background, IPs, and everything. I get inspired by them, but I'm not. I don't necessarily get any inspiration from the gaming in general, but I do appreciate the presence of the heist. At least, like they are making a great strategy. Their strategy is working great for the Web3 gaming audiences, which is degen and gamblers. So like I like that part, but there's that, and also I get inspirations from successful IP developers in the scene. Azuki is one of them. I think the Cool Cats is paving their way out to the top, back to the top. They are struggling a little bit here and there, but I believe that they are moving forward to the right path. One on Force is also a good project that I think has a good potential to make something big happen. And the strategy wise, I think DGOS community is like absolute banger. I'm still holding one and I'm still holding Utes, so good for me. But yeah, there's certainly the things that I can learn a lot from the DGOS builders. So those are the projects that I get inspiration.
It's always cool to me to see different types of projects doing well, right? So like the heist, like seeing them do well has been awesome, and like the guys behind that are great dudes. I love all of them, and it's like, and it's just really cool seeing people like still just as hyped to play the game now as they were, a few months ago, right? And it's like, it shows me that we're growing. Like they've learned things from previous Web3 games to say, hey, we need to, looking at what hasn't worked to figure out what's going to work, right? And I think that's a big part of it, is like with this whole space, like we're seeing a lot of people all the time who are trying different things. And the most important thing that we can do is look at what somebody else is doing, learn from that, and saying, okay, what do we like about what they did? What do we not like about what they did? Why did this work? Why did that not work? And then grow from that and develop from there what we need to do in order to keep growing this space, right? So
absolutely.
It's why I love building during times like this, because like when we're in a bull market, like you could literally launch anything and somebody would be like, this is sick, like, whatever, pump it to whatever. And now people are a little bit more, they scrutinize a little bit more, right? But that's good. Like it's because they know that if you just release a really like boring game or something that's super low quality, yeah, the average person, it's just they know it's not it, right? Like they know you need to do more. And so that to me is a sign of the space maturing, because we're like, hey, we need to actually see you do something that like legitimately there's good reason as to why it worked and why people supported it, versus in the bull market where literally everything works no matter what, and it's just because like people are just looking to make money, and so they're just buying stuff and hoping it goes up in value. While during a bear market, it takes actual strategy to figure out why should somebody pay attention to your project. And a lot of it is because you actually have to build really cool things during a bear market, right?
Right, exactly. So yeah, when we are building our projects as well, we will consistently try to think what would be the utility or something that we can add on value for the NFT in general. What would be something that is revolutionary and something new, something practical, so that people would be able to enjoy just holding our NFTs in general. Like even if our goal is to become the biggest IP that exists in the dark fantasy sector, but still we want to make sure that our NFT is not something that boring as hell, and it's something that people would be disappointed over time, something like that. It is something that we like all learn from the processes like this. In the bear market especially, we learn from the past, we learn from the mistakes that we made in the past, and then try to get better when the bull market comes back. So
100%.
yeah.
So, okay, so my next question for you is on content. So I feel like when it comes to games, the majority of the games that I see do well tend to be games where content is created from somebody playing it, right? Whether it's them posting a screenshot from the heist, or whether it's somebody posting a Call of Duty clip or a Fortnite clip or something along those lines. So how do you think about content in terms of like what you want to see people creating with Fidelions, and like when you guys launched a game and everything like that? Obviously, the more people who are posting clips from the game, the more likely people are to say, hey, what is that? And start asking questions in order for them to learn more. So, what role does content play in the kind of marketing strategy of Fidelions?
Right. So the contents that is being created from the Web3 world has obviously have different structures. So I think the Web3 in general is the spirit of decentralization, and then people participate in to the actual project, and that I think that is an important part of being a game project in the blockchain. So we do recognize that that sectors that we probably will be able to play around with. I don't know if you ever heard about the project called SCP. It is not Web3 product. It is a Web2 Wikipedia type of the project that has the like small little concept that provided by the random person, like one person. I don't know who he is, but he made this whole Wikipedia type of the web page, and then asked people to upload something that is related with the core thesis of the projects. Like it is something about like there are some mysterious living things out there, and there is a mysterious non-governmental organizations try to organize this whole mysterious object or things, or like the creatures, and people use their creativity to develop the whole new story by themselves, and then say, let's say SCP-1443, and then this is a small little sinkhole. But if you jump into the sinkhole, there is a whole another new world that you're going to see. And that he described the whole structure of the sinkhole. And then people get to vote on it. So when there's a lot of upvote, then it gets to be on the official theory, one of the official theory of the SCP. It is something like that. And now we are also getting a little bit of inspired by that. So obviously, our core structure of the contents will be developed in-house. So we're not gonna let everybody in and everybody jump into the structure the next story of ours and etc. We're unfortunately not gonna do that, because we believe that the IP builders mindset sometimes has to be in the center of the whole thing, but we will also same time will have a voting system and have a like DAO system that make people contribute on next storylines of the project. So it's not going to be like a core huge type of the storylines, but it's going to be a branch of the many different things that is developed from the community. So hopefully that's going to happen. That's going to be there's going to be a lot of people jumping in and to create the storylines. It already happened in Cyberwave before for us. And it happened in Fidelion world as well. There are a lot of community members try to jump into the creating the next stories, and especially like small specific stories of the one of the faction that we already created. So hopefully that kind of creation will keep coming in, and then hopefully one day we'll be able to utilize one of those storylines to develop a separate product, let's say like webtoon, like small books or something like that.
That's very cool. So it's like user generated storylines.
Yes.
Basically. Yeah.
Yes,
or community generated storylines that go along with it. That's cool.
Yeah, with a DAO and blockchain type of the structure, like we are going to utilize the technology on that side as well. So it's going to be pretty cool gimmicks to play with.
That's very cool. So okay, so for somebody who's watching this, and let's say they don't care about Web3 gaming, it's not really their thing, why should they be interested in Fidelions?
Right. Right. I'll say that it is not like Fidelion is not the project that everybody should fall in love with. It is not. It is obviously not for everybody because we are visioning to become the next biggest IP. Like, and that is not something that if you're not interested in content creation in general, you might not feel into it. Like you might feel like, yeah, I just want to earn some money, earn some tokens from the game like Heist, and then leave it with it. Or maybe you're just not a game type of the guy either. But in some senses, I would say if you are the person who used to watch some cartoons, animes, and like if you are the person who ever played like games in the past, and then like who ever thought like you want to create your own stories like when you're young, or like you still read the books and etc. If you're hitting among those any of those categories, I will say we are trying to become the best IP product, best content creation product that exists in Solana for obviously in Solana, and also pretty obvious in Ethereum and Solana combined PFP industry in general. We are born for this. We are born for making a good contents and good IP, something that you would just watch and enjoy, or be part of that, and then enjoy it. So people, there must be people who don't really care about the contents. Then so be it. Maybe it is not best for you. But if you are one of those person who likes to enjoy the good contents, then we are the project. So
There we go, man. That's an epic line. So, okay, so here's my last question for you. And I know you kind of just answered it. So if it's, just want to see if there's anything else you want to add on to it. Why should somebody be bullish on the future of Fidelion? Like at a time where the NFT space is we're hurting a little bit, and I know we're gonna have some fun times ahead, and it's just kind of we've had slow periods before, and it's always a little frustrating during those times. But if somebody's sitting here today and they're thinking about Fidelions, why should they be bullish on the future of Fidelions and the team behind it and everything along those lines?
right, awful lot of time, the projects sometimes there are awful lot of times projects focus on one little things, and then maybe that little thing will make that project to become successful or not. It really up to them, how they perform, how they execute. But at the end of the day, this is a blockchain technology. This is a new sector that we can try out so many different things. And Fidelion, we are playing around three different sectors and try to combine and and interact among those three different sectors. As I said, like a blockchain gaming, PFP sector, and also the Web2 gaming sector in general. And then we are trying to find a way to become the best IP that exists, utilizing all those three sectors with the all specialists in our team. Our game developers are like most of them are having like a 5 to 10 years experiences back in Web2 industry, and Hogyo, needless to say anything. We do have our founders are like from the AI sector. I myself from energy sector. Like all those people who are working in this project is Web2 specialist or Web3 specialist. So what I'm gonna say is Fidelion is gonna try every single things to become relevant and have a big presence in Web2 and Web3 world as the IP developer. And the fact that we are not relying in one small little things, like our for example, our staking website is going to be released in next month or so. If this doesn't go fly as we expected, we do expect to fly it, but if it doesn't, then we do have so many different things coming up. Because this is not just one thing that we are developing for it. Like our goal is to become the biggest IP value, developing the biggest IP value in the dark fantasy sector. Like there are so many dark fantasy IPs out there. We want to become one of them. So the way that we go towards to that is gonna give you sometimes it's gonna give you a higher floor price. Sometimes it's not gonna be as much as that. But at the end of the day, you consider yourself to having a bet on the team who's trying to become the one of the biggest Web 2 IP providers. And then when we actually become the multimedia franchise at some point, then it's all gonna make sense, because like we are trying to utilize so many different things, so many different sections to get there, to hit the goal.
So, dude, I mean, last question that I have for you is like, first, well, it's a statement and then a question. So, first off, I want to say, dude, I appreciate you doing this podcast episode, because I know not speaking in your native language it's very, very hard to do, and I hope everybody who's watching this podcast knows that like. That's tough, man. Like, that really is. And I think about it all the time in terms of like when I've gone abroad and everything like that. And when I'm, I can only speak English. So if I had to do a podcast in Spanish or Korean or anything like that, man, I would absolutely, I would absolutely fail. I mean, that's the reality of it. And so first off, I just want to say, thank you for coming on. I know it's not easy to speak your non-native language. So first off, I appreciate you doing that. And second, man, I would love to hear more about kind of the international presence that you guys have within the community and just kind of, in general, just the international aspects of the project.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate for having us in this podcast, because as an international person, it is always hard to, get connection with the people in the States and so, in general. So I really appreciate that. As you know, we are born project in Korea, and then many of our team members are Korean. Beside of me, there are like only handful amount of people who are being able to speak at least this much of the English. But interestingly, our Korean holders are like only around like 7%. And then other than that, it's like our majority holders are American. Next to that, there are like a lot of European people as well. And then there are Chinese, Japanese, and everybody that has a bit of interest in Solana. We are hitting those targets as well. So I would say, I would hope at some point, not only because the vision that we are trying to provide over here, maybe people can jump into our project because of our international presence. I do speak some languages, and we do have really dedicated members from all around the world. And then hopefully we can become like a center of Solana international presence in the projects, that people can get together and then have fun and then mingle together and then share some storylines, share some their passion towards the contents and etc. And at the end of the day, blockchain is built for the global project. I think there's absolute zero reason to stay in one single nation and then stuck with it. So yeah, I'm excited for our international communities to grow bigger, and then I hopefully at some point I can travel all around the world and then speak all different languages to introduce our project. But yeah, in the future.
That's cool, man. Hey, I appreciate it. So drop your socials. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. It's a GM Ryot. So it's a GMRYOT. I don't know who cares, but there is a thread as well. You can find me on thread on GM Ryot GN as well. And yeah, you can find me on Telegram too with the same handle. So
there we go, dude. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you being flexible with the recording and everything like that. And dude, I'm excited to see the game when it comes out in a month or two, and just excited to see where you take things. But again, man, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you, dealing with all the hassles that have come up in the last, week or so. And once again, just excited for Fidelions, excited to see the game, and excited to see the growth of the project and you and the rest of the team. So yeah, man, I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you everybody else for tuning in, and we'll chat with you guys soon.
All right. Thank you.
See you guys.